This is the best laptop I've reviewed so far. It has amazing performance and build quality, decent battery life, good I/O, great keyboard and trackpad, amazing screen and a lot more. Should you buy it? Yes, do it now! Thank you for watching, and I'll see you again sometime in the future. But if you would like to know some details, stick around. And don't forget to subscribe. Videos like this take a lot of time and money to make, so thank you for subscribing. Now let's get cracking! Taking a look at the specs, we have the latest Ryzen 5800H processor, an RTX 3060 with 6GB of VRAM, a 1TB Western Digital NVMe SSD, and 16GB of 3200MHz DDR4 RAM. It also has Wi-Fi 6, Bluetooth 5.1 and a 720p webcam. The Wi-Fi and Bluetooth performance was great with this laptop, to get that out of the way. All of that cost me about 1700 euros including taxes, here in Sweden. Now let's see what's in the box. This is a very large and heavy box. It can barely fit on my table. When we open it, you'll get the usual stuff, the laptop and a comically large power adapter, and some documents and foam. This laptop needs a lot of power, so they did include a capable power brick. If we measure it, you can get a sense of how big it really is.
That's what she said.
It's almost as big as my iPad Air from 2020. So if you plan on carrying it with you in a backpack, be aware of the weight and size, which is about 2.5 kilos without the charger and 3.3 kilos with the charger. Now let's have a look inside. On the inside we can see the 80 Wh battery, 2 RAM slots, so the RAM is upgradable. We also have an M.2 slot for the SSD and another M.2 slot for additional storage. The cooling system is very capable and it kind of looks like a vapor chamber system, but I don't think it is. So overall, very good upgradability. The chassis is almost all aluminum and it feels amazing. The only plastic things I could find are on the back, where some of the ports are located, the cooling vents on the sides and the back, and the screen bezel. It's not picking up fingerprints that easily, but it collects dust just by looking at it. The build quality is fantastic, super sturdy and rigid. Very minimal flex on the keyboard deck, trackpad and on the screen. It opens with one finger and the hinges feel very nice with minimal screen wobble. The port selection is very good. On the left we have a USB 3.2 Gen 2 Type-C port with DisplayPort 1.4 support and a headset jack. On the right we have a USB-A 3.2 Gen 1 port and an e-shutter for the webcam. Most of the action happens on the back. You can plug in a lot of stuff here. Here we have 3 USB-A 3.2 Gen 1 ports, a USB 3.2 Gen 2 Type-C port also with DisplayPort 1.4 and power delivery, HDMI 2.1, power input and a gigabit Ethernet port. Lots of ports. The keyboard has one of the best layouts I've seen on a laptop with a numpad and full-sized arrow keys. Key travel is decent and it feels stable and springy. It's not as good as the Lenovo Yoga Slim 715, but very close. This particular model has 2 steps of white backlighting and indication lights on the num and caps lock keys. You can also get the gray model with 4-zone RGB lighting, and there's also a Stingray white model that comes with blue backlighting. The trackpad feels great. It has Windows Precision drivers and it works as it should. The clicks feel nice and satisfying. There's no delay or strange behavior. Overall, a great trackpad for a Windows laptop. One highlight of this computer is the screen, in my opinion. The 19:10 aspect ratio is very welcome on a gaming laptop, and the resolution of 2560x1600 is perfect for the 16-inch size. The response time of 3 milliseconds is top-notch and the refresh rate of 165 Hz is silky smooth, both in Windows and when playing games. It's a 10-bit wide color gamut panel with 100% of sRGB coverage, 500 nits of brightness, and G-Sync and FreeSync support. It also has HDR 400 certification with Dolby Vision support. There are no reflections at all because of the matte screen surface, so it's very good for outdoor use or in brightly lit environments. Bezels are nice and thin and the webcam is up top. And here's how the webcam looks like, and this is how the internal microphone sounds like. Don't tell me what you think down in the comments, okay? Editing videos, playing games, watching videos, everything looks amazing on this screen. There's a pre-installed program called X-Rite Color Assistant that lets you choose between different color profiles. That's also a very nice feature. There was no backlight bleed that I could find on my unit. A truly amazing panel overall. Only minor downside is it's not a touchscreen and it doesn't have a Windows Hello camera. Well, maybe we'll get that next year if the world still exists then, that is. The battery is 80 watt-hours as I said, and it's rated for 8 hours of use. Doing things like watching YouTube and typing documents, I got about 3 to 4 hours with 70% screen brightness at 165 Hz and the laptop running in dedicated GPU mode. If you need to squeeze some more juice out of the battery, you can switch to auto switching mode for the GPU and disable the internal GPU in the Windows Device Manager by right-clicking on the RTX 3060 and choosing Disable. You can also turn off the keyboard backlight and lower the screen refresh rate to 60 Hz. This will give you more than 8 hours of use, so you can do that if you plan on taking this laptop with you to school or work and you don't want to haul around the ginormous charger. But when you eventually need to charge the laptop, use the fast charging option to charge the battery from 25% to 98% in 40 minutes. If you plan on gaming on battery power with the dedicated GPU, forget about it. I'll tell you why soon. But first let's have a listen to the speakers.
Back from the dead.
As you probably can't hear, the Harman and Nahimic speakers are pretty good and loud, but I would have liked a little bit more bass. The mids are good and the treble is okay when the laptop is on a table, but when you have it on your lap, the sound is a bit muffled, but still okay. There are some nice features in the Nahimic app, such as an equalizer and different sound profiles and effects. There are 4 modes to choose from with different sound signatures. I mainly used the music profile and turned on the surround and did some adjustments in the EQ to get the best sound out of the speakers. Here are the settings I used. Latency Mon shows good results too, so this should be a good laptop for audio production. There's not a lot of pre-installed software. Windows 10 Home comes with its own bloatware, and the only apps Lenovo installs are kind of useful, except for McAfee LiveSave and the Power to Go disk burning software on a laptop without a DVD drive, yeah. Lenovo Vantage software lets you change a bunch of settings on the laptop. You can switch from hybrid to dedicated GPU mode, enable fast charging, update the drivers, BIOS, and more. You can also assign macros on the numpad keys, which is a nice feature. On the taskbar there's a battery indicator, and when you click that icon you'll get access to some quick settings as well. Here you can turn the microphone on or off, fast charging and some other things. The thermal performance is fantastic. Lenovo has done an excellent job at keeping the laptop cool and relatively quiet. It's completely silent most of the time when it's in silent mode, and in the balanced mode the fans do kick in, but the noise they produce is not at all annoying. The fans have a very nice sound to them, no whining whatsoever, only a pleasant wind noise. Yeah. In performance mode you can really hear the fans, but still it's not annoying and the speakers can easily drown out the fan noise. The chassis gets slightly warm when the CPU GPU are under load, but it's very acceptable. It actually cooled my lap when I used it for writing this review. So if you're worried that the laptop will get hot and burn you if you use it on your lap, no, it will actually cool you down. And that's really cool. As you can imagine, the performance is fucking amazing. It almost beats my Ryzen 3700X 32GB RAM equipped desktop computer in CPU performance, and that's crazy. I ran all the tests you see here in performance mode with the laptop plugged in. In Cinebench R23 I got a multi-core score of 12,674 points, which is quite insane. And a single core score of 1,391 is also great. Geekbench 5 CPU score is 1,426 single core and 7,506 multi-core. The OpenCL Vulkan and CUDA scores are 100,421, 72,143 and 104,239 respectively. Video editing works very good, and so does photo editing. Scrubbing 1080p 60fps H.264 video in Adobe Premiere works very good, and so does 4K 60fps videos. Exporting a 3-minute 4K video in Premiere with some graphics, one adjustment layer and a lot takes 14 minutes and 52 seconds using dedicated GPU mode and 22 minutes and 37 seconds in hybrid mode. I used the YouTube 4K preset in Premiere when exporting this. Comparing it to my desktop computer, it's almost as fast. The SSD is very fast with sequential read speed of 3420 MB per second and write speed of 3098 MB per second. It's not a PCI Gen 4 drive, but still very fast. Now if you take a look at some gaming performance, this thing is going to give you excellent performance in every modern game. All the tests were conducted with the laptop plugged in and running in performance mode. Here are some results compared to my desktop computer that runs a Ryzen 3700X, 32 gigs of CL16 3600 MHz RAM and an RTX 2080. On the Legion, the GPU draws between 100 and 120 watts, and it got pretty close to my RTX 2080 desktop, as you can see here. Very good frame rates using ultra or high settings in all games tested, and the resolution was 2560 by 1600. I tried to game using battery power and it's a no-go. I got really bad performance in every game I tried using the RTX 3060. It seems to have a 30 FPS limit when running on battery power. It limits the wattage for the GPU to 30 watts. But you can do a little trick to get better performance with battery power. Because the Ryzen 5800H has a decent integrated GPU, you can run the laptop in hybrid mode and disable the Nvidia GPU in the Windows Device Manager. Just right-click on the Nvidia RTX 3060 and select Disable. This will actually boost the performance in games when you're running on battery power, and the fans will run very quietly as well. Here's a quick comparison between the RTX 3060 running on battery power versus the integrated graphics. I'll use Quake Champions for this comparison. I used competitive settings this time and a resolution of 1920 by 1200 with 75% resolution scale. As you can see, the integrated graphics are running faster. You can almost consider the RTX 3060 as an eGPU. When you want to game and use the full performance of the laptop, you can plug it into the wall and enable the dedicated GPU mode in the BIOS or the Vantage app. That way you'll get the best performance when you need it. And if you want to game on battery power, just disable the RTX 3060 and use the integrated GPU. At this point in the video, I usually address if there are any issues with the laptop. In this case, I can say that my experience during the 3 weeks I've had this laptop have been great. Only thing I can complain about is the weight of the laptop and the ginormous charger, but those are my personal preferences and opinions. That might not bother you at all. It's an amazing laptop. Do I recommend this laptop? Yes, I do, as I said in the beginning of the video. It's the best laptop I have reviewed here on YouTube. It's a bit on the expensive side, but for the money you're getting an amazing laptop. For a bit more money you can go with the RTX 3070 version of this laptop if you need more GPU power or VRAM. Are there any downsides? It depends. If you're someone that likes to do heavier work on your laptop using battery power, this laptop is probably not the right choice. It can do light video editing and or photo editing on battery power, but if you need the GPU for your work or if you want to game, then you need to plug it in. It can be a good desktop replacement too, if you're short on space. I hope you enjoyed this review, and if you own one of these laptops, how has your experience been using it? Please let us know in the comments. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you again sometime in the future.